Welcome everybody with the comparison of the Sony Xperia Z5 and the Apple iPhone 6s. Now, of course, the compact by Sony would be a little bit nicer to compare with the latest Apple devices, but it's not available yet. It will come out in the next few days. So both have the premium price, premium size, and premium hardware inside. So I will just compare the Sony Xperia Z5 with the Apple iPhone 6s. So full HD screen and just a 1334 times 750 pixel resolution screen, both looking quite good though, with 4.7 inches here and a 5.2 inch display here. So of course the device is bigger and maybe also better, but let's just check them out from the outside a little bit before we go into the hardware. So from the outside, metal bodies, both of them, but of course the Sony has glass front and back, while Apple only has glass on the front, of course for the display and the 3D touch, but otherwise here the complete metal body, which is looking beautiful and is also heavy with 143 grams. It's not a lightweight, but also 154 here with Sony. It's also not that small or light of a phone. 7.3 millimeters in thickness, 7.1 on the Apple. So you can see that they are both about the same thickness, but the Apple seems always slimmer since it has these round edges, which just makes it look a little bit better, if you ask me. So otherwise on the bottom, USB ports, a headset jack, speaker, and the Sony has here the little space for just something that you can put around your neck or your wristband, nano SIM card slot, and a micro SD card slot. Very important, you can expand the memory in the Sony. Up to 200 gigs via micro SD right now, which is crazy much, a lot, but also more is of course available. Headset jack with microphone, and then also on and off switch, volume rocker, and camera button here on the Sony. While the on and off switch is actually also fingerprint reader. I will show that to you in a second, which unlocks faster. Otherwise, nano SIM card slot here on the Apple and no place to expand the memory. This is a 16 gig version, and 64 and 128 gigs are also available, but of course for a lot more money than with, for example, Sony, where you just need to buy a SIM card. So on the back, we didn't mention 23 megapixel camera versus 12, so almost double here by Sony. A little flashlight, another speaker here by Apple, which is right next to the camera, not on the top like we have here with the Sony. And actually the Sony is also waterproof, water resistant, which is a quite nice feature, but I will of course show that to you in another video, while the Apple is officially not water resistant, but we actually will try that also out in a few hours when we go to the pool. With both, Sony has dual speakers, so the sound should be amazing. We will try that out in another video. Till then, we just have the two front cameras, with both having 5 megapixel resolution, which is again a quite nice comparison here. 3 gigs of RAM, 2 gigs of RAM, which I will show you after. I'll show you also how easy it is to unlock both phones here with just one fingerprint reader, for example, which is not always working. As you can see here with Sony, it's quite strange that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And yes, I'm using the right finger, but for some reason I think there we go. So sometimes it just doesn't want to work. Maybe it's, well, just too early of a product, but let's just compare here both pressing the button and unlocking the phone, how it works and which is faster. So Sony didn't recognize my finger again. Come on, what's the problem here? This is impossible. There we go. So with my right thumb, it seems to be working fine on both. So let me just do this here, this way. Yes, maybe it works a little bit better. So let's press on both the button and unlock it. Yeah, Sony didn't want my finger again, so let's try it again. Actually, I have sweaty fingers, so that could be also a reason, but in that way, Apple is just a lot better now with the 6S. The fingerprint reader is supposedly 50% faster. And you can see that it works on the right seamlessly each time, while on Sony I just have my troubles here for whatever reason. Here we go. So both seem to be about the same speed when it comes to unlocking the phone, and I'm sorry about that. As I said, when I just hold it in my right hand and have my finger here, it works perfectly. Just doing it both at the same time was kind of hard to demonstrate to you guys. So let's just go inside here and try out. Come on. Both devices. So what we can do is, of course, compare the cameras. I mentioned we only have 12 on the right, and on the left we have 23. So let's start off with the back camera, having here an image in front of us, for example, the Sony XPeria 5 box. And by just having both the same angle, the same way, you can see that there's a little bit more space on the display of the Z5 on below the box and above the box. And with Apple, the complete bottom is cut off. Also, when we are here not in the auto mode but in the manual mode, you will get the full 23 megapixel, otherwise you just have 8 with Sony, which is interesting. But here also this way with 23, you can see that the wide angle is just a lot better. And if I just take both pictures here and look at them or at the displays, you can see that on the left, the table is a little bit more vibrant, more unrealistically red. On the right, the colors are a little bit more real, but of course that's something again that you can set up also later. Both seem to be fast, and if you switch in both to video mode for 4K, for example, which is available on both devices finally with Apple also, you can definitely see that. Let's take another box here, the Apple box. The wide angle is here now almost the same. The display of the Sony is just a little bit bigger. That's why it seems that there is a little bit more space, but actually on both you will have probably the same results when using them. So right, let's go back here to the front screen, or actually we didn't show you guys the front cameras, which are actually an important feature on all devices. So let's just switch here to the front view and photo, and then we can see that on the right, again, the wide angle is not as good as on the Sony on the left, but the colors or the sharpness just seems to be a little bit better, and the speed maybe also. It's interesting to see how delayed one phone can be compared to another. And if I shoot now on both just a picture here, click, let's see here the result. I like to zoom in my camera, and you can just see that Sony seems to be a lot sharper and better in this case, here with the light coming from above, and just the sharpness in general is better. But let's see something else, like for example gaming, how the devices compare. I have on both Relic Run here running. Let's actually close that because I think it ran before, and I can actually just 3D touch close here. Also, I think that app like this. I can just delete or close up everything. Here we go, and then let's just start both games at the same time. And let's see which one loads faster and in which one we can die earlier. Here on the right, it's already loaded. It knows that I'm logged in. On the left, it takes a little bit while. Even though we have 3 gigs of RAM compared to 2 gigs of RAM, a dual-core processor on the right, but of course the display resolution being half of the Sony, almost, or 1/3 of the Sony, now 2/3 of the Sony. That makes, of course, a difference. You can now see again the display on the right. It's a little bit more, brighter, wider-ish. And let's just see how we can do here with both games trying to look at the 2 displays doing stuff here at the same time. Not that easy, but the left is right now still alright. As long as I don't die. Now what we compare here right now is actually how slow both phones could be when playing games that really need a lot of processing and GPU power. But you can see that none of them have any hiccups here, looking quite alright here, both phones. So let's just quit again here or go out, and let's try, for example, something like the browser, how fast we can open up a browser. Actually tried it again. So here we go. And also when we check out the keyboards, the accelerometers and sensors and everything are quite perfect in both. So this was just a really short comparison here with the Apple iPhone 6s and the Sony XPeria Z5. Comparison about the camera again with the full video capabilities in 4K. You can see that on my channel already. It's online under tech video. Look for 4K zoom quality tests, and you will find a few videos there with all the premium smartphones shooting videos. So thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Balazs. Until next time, please tune in again when we compare, test, unbox, and review.